Not only about the high-profile 21,000 fan showing in Philadelphia that we were all supposed to just buy into. Anyway, yeah, we don't buy into bullshit on this channel. We don't, all right? And I'm sorry, that was blatant. So anyway, the television numbers have come out for that game, that high-profile game.
21,000 fans packed into Philadelphia. Media outlets ran headlines celebrating the turnout. Corporate sponsors lined up for photo opportunities. On paper, Unrivaled showcase game looked like a massive success. But there's a reason they're celebrating attendance numbers instead of what actually matters in sports media. Because when the television ratings dropped, the story completely fell apart.
Maybe they can get a bunch of local corporations to be like, oh, this is our chance to make a social statement. Let's buy a bunch of tickets. You know who wasn't buying into this? Viewers on television. Viewers on television. And we'll get to the yearly statistics that have dropped. The year-over-year statistics that have dropped, because it is a total and complete unraveling of this 3x3 basketball league that key members of the Players Union is trying to use as
0.04 in the 1849 demographic. That's 40,000 viewers for a game broadcast on TNT, not some obscure cable channel. The 46th ranked show on cable that night, and here's what makes it even more damaging. Both Unrivaled games that Friday pulled identical ratings. One featured Paige Bueckers, the other didn't. Same viewership, which tells you everything about star power in this league, or the complete lack of it. But those Friday night numbers are just the beginning. The year-over-year data that just came out reveals something far worse than one bad night.
Unrivaled and some golf league taking a viewership hit in the second seasons. Now, before we jump into the disastrousness that is their ratings in their second year, keep in mind that this is all under the new Nielsen metrics, big data plus methodology they put into place that has been inflating ratings versus all previous years, including last year of Unrivaled. So while most shows are showing they're up 5 to 10%, oh, that tells you this is even worse.
103,000 viewers. That's what Unrivaled averaged across TNT and truTV through the first 3 weeks of their second season. Down 44% from last year's 85,000 average. They lost 82,000 viewers per game in 1 year. And here's the critical context that makes this collapse even more significant. These numbers are measured under Nielsen's new Big Data Plus methodology that went into effect this year. Most television programming is showing increases of 5–10% purely from the expanded measurement. Unrivaled is down 44% despite the inflated metrics. If we were still using last year's measurement system, their actual viewership decline would be closer to 55%. Think about what that means. In a year where almost every show's numbers went up just from better counting methods, Unrivaled cut their audience in half.
Wow. Across TNT and truTV through week 3 of the season as of January 26, down 44% from the first 3 weeks of last year's inaugural season. 185,000 viewers. Wow. Wow, they've dropped 82,000 viewers a game. Games simulcast on both TNT and truTV are averaging 135,000, while games that are exclusive to truTV are averaging 64,000 viewers. Wow. Wow.
Let's break down what TNT is actually getting for their investment. Games that simulcast on both TNT and truTV average 135,000 viewers. Games exclusive to truTV pull 64,000, that's not a typo. 64,000 people watching basketball on a cable network owned by Warner Bros. Discovery. For context, reruns of Friends regularly pull over 500,000 viewers in similar time slots. Big Bang Theory reruns can hit 800,000. Even late-night infomercials occasionally beat Unrivaled's truTV numbers. TNT could literally run test patterns and generate more advertising value, and this is where the business reality becomes impossible to ignore. TNT has a media rights opt-out clause that activates after next season. They can walk away. Why would they renew? What's the business case for continuing to broadcast a product that's hemorrhaging viewers and getting demolished by syndicated sitcoms from the 90s?
Keep in mind, TNT has a media rights opt-out. They can get out of it right after the season is over next season. So what this tells me, because they're going to be losing players to Project B, combined with right after next season is over losing their television. I mean, why in the world? Why in the world would they re-up this? They could put reruns of Andy Griffith on and draw more viewers than that. And you think I'm being funny? I'm not. I'm not. You put reruns of Friends on there and draw higher ratings than that. In prime time. 2.5 Men. Oh, 2.5 Men destroy these ratings.
Here's what makes the timing particularly brutal for Unrivaled. They're about to lose players to the new Project Me League. Their television partner has an escape hatch opening in 12 months. Their ratings are collapsing despite inflated measurement methods. And the entire premise of the league was supposed to be providing leverage for WNBA players in CBA negotiations. Leverage. That's the word that keeps coming up. Breanna Stewart and other players, union members, promoted Unrivaled as proof that women's basketball could sustain multiple professional leagues, that there was untapped market demand, that the WNBA was undervaluing its players. Except the market is speaking, and it's saying the exact opposite. There isn't enough demand to sustain one fully successful league, let alone two. The ratings prove it. The year-over-year collapse proves it. The fact that Paige Bueckers can't move the needle proves it.
They're lying to you. Collier, Breanna Stewart. I mean, okay. I don't know what to tell you. And look, from the get-go, this league, we called it when we found out that they were having a new league emerging. I think I made a video on it over on the big channel. There's WNBA players are having a second league. And Matrix and myself literally said, nobody's watching the first league. This was, I think it was announced before Caitlin Clark actually started playing.
Go back to when Unrivaled was first announced. This was before Caitlin Clark's rookie season. Before anyone knew what kind of television numbers she would generate. And the immediate reaction from people actually analyzing the business side was simple. Nobody's watching the first league. Why would they watch a second one? The only scenario where Unrivaled made business sense was if they landed Caitlin Clark. That was the only card that could potentially change the equation. And you will never convince me that the investors who poured money into this league weren't promised that she was coming, because otherwise, the math never worked. The market research never supported it. The existing WNBA ratings outside of Clark's games never justified the investment.
There would be no chance. And I will say it yet again. You will never convince me that they did not promise all these investors that they could land her in this 3x3 league. Or else, why in the world would you do this? Other than a social statement, which we've seen corporations be willing to do since 2020.
So now we're watching the slow motion collapse play out exactly as predicted. Corporate sponsors who got involved to make social statements are quietly evaluating their ROI. Television executives are running the numbers and realizing they're paying for content that generates less engagement than programming they could license for a fraction of the cost. And the players who tied their CBA negotiating strategy to Unrivaled success are watching their leverage evaporate in real time. The 21,490 fans who showed up in Philadelphia, that was 6 months of advanced marketing, corporate ticket buying, and turning the event into a social cause. You can't build a sustainable business model around that. You can't replicate it for 30-40 games across a full season. It's a carnival that rolls into town once, generates headlines, and then disappears.
The Unrivaled is officially a cause. Disability Basketball League. Peace, I'm out.
Here's what happens next, and the timeline is pretty clear. Unrivaled limps through this season with declining ratings and increasing questions from sponsors. Next season, they lose key players to Project Me, which further dilutes the talent pool and makes the product even less compelling. Then TNT exercises their opt-out clause after next season ends, which eliminates the league's major media platform and primary revenue source. At that point, Unrivaled faces a choice: shut down entirely, or try to survive as a minor streaming product with minimal viewership and even less cultural relevance. Neither option provides any leverage whatsoever for WNBA CBA negotiations, and that's the real story here. This isn't just about one struggling basketball league. It's about the fundamental miscalculation at the heart of the players' union's negotiating strategy. They bet that they could create market competition and use it as proof that the WNBA was undervaluing them. They bet that corporate America's appetite for supporting women's sports as a social cause would translate into sustainable television ratings. They bet that star power existed beyond Caitlin Clark. Every single one of those bets is failing. The market competition is collapsing. Corporate sponsors are getting embarrassing returns on their investments. And the television ratings prove that outside of Clark, there's barely enough audience to sustain one league, let alone multiple competing products. The 10,000 average viewers tell you everything you need to know about market demand. The 44% year-over-year decline tells you everything about trajectory, and the fact that this is all happening with inflated Nielsen metrics tells you how much worse the real numbers actually are. TNT executives are watching these numbers and doing the same math everyone else is doing. They're comparing Unrivaled's performance to literally any other programming they could put in those time slots. Sitcom reruns, documentary runs, original programming. Literally anything else generates better ratings and more advertising value. When the opt-out clause comes up after next season, the decision will be easy. Why would they continue paying for content that ranks 106th on cable on a good night? What's the business justification? What's the growth story they can tell advertisers? There isn't one. The ratings are declining, not growing. The audience is shrinking, not expanding. The buzz is fading, not building. Every single business metric is moving in the wrong direction. And for the WNBA players who tied their negotiating strategy to Unrivaled success, this creates a massive problem. They can't walk into CBA negotiations and point to Unrivaled as proof of market value when Unrivaled is actively collapsing. They can't argue that multiple leagues can thrive when the second league is losing half its audience year over year. They can't claim that corporate sponsors see value in women's basketball when those sponsors are watching their investments generate 60. The leverage they thought they were building is evaporating, and the WNBA owners know it. They're watching the same ratings everyone else is watching. They're seeing the same year-over-year declines. They're doing the same math about what happens when TNT walks away. So when negotiations start, the WNBA has all the leverage. Because the alternative to the WNBA isn't thriving in competing leagues. The alternative is playing for 64,000 viewers on True TV before the league shuts down entirely. That's the reality that the attendance numbers in Philadelphia were trying to hide. That's why they're celebrating 21,490 fans showing up instead of talking about the television rating. Because the television ratings reveal the truth. Outside of Caitlin Clark, the market for women's basketball is dramatically smaller than the players' union wants to believe. And Unrivaled's collapse is proving it in real time, with numbers that get worse every week. So here's the question for the players who built their strategy around this league. What's the backup plan now? Because Unrivaled isn't providing leverage. It's providing a cautionary tale about what happens when you miscalculate market demand and bet your negotiating position on a league that nobody's watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Can Unrivaled survive losing players to Project Me and potentially losing TNT after next season? Or is this league already finished, just waiting for someone to make it official? Hit that subscribe button because this story is far from over. And the CBA negotiations are going to get very interesting when both sides sit down with these numbers on the table.